Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Connectors, the official CCBC Connection podcast where we find the connections between us all. I'm your host, Corinne Boyd. We have with us Keith Anstead. Keith is a former CCBC student reporter for The Connection, producer for Good School, and now two-time Emmy-nominated technical director at WJZ News Baltimore. Keith, thank you so much for being here today. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. My name is Keith Anstead. Here's a little more on Keith Anstead. So I'm not a technical director anymore. I am a full-time linear editor for the news. When I am not editing, I am floor directing, which means a lot. And I guess we'll talk about that later. But now I am editing full-time.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for being here today.
Good to be here.
We're just going to jump into some questions. In your article, Putting the Podcast Pieces Together, you highlighted how much teamwork matters in podcasting. Can you share how being part of a team personally shaped your growth and success?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So being a part of a team, I mean, if you think about from the moment that we're born and we start to go to school and interact with other people, we're part of a team, right? You have to learn how to get used to other personalities. Some people work harder than others. Some people need more help than others. We have different drives, right? Specifically through the Good School podcast, being part of a team, it really meant everything, right? And what I mean by that is for me, most of the research part, interviewing, talking to strangers is not something that I'm incredibly comfortable doing, right? I consider myself to be an introverted person, although I have done and I can do the work of somebody in front of the camera or behind the microphone. Fine, that's just something I can do. However, without that team, if I didn't have a team to work with, the Good School Project would have been a very complicated thing to do. So being a part of a team has everything to do with the success that you have in creating something.
Thank you for sharing. I totally agree. I feel like being a part of a team is very important, especially because the people that are in my class with me, they're very, supportive, and this is our first time doing it all together. So it's really fun to know that we're kind of just taking it, one step at a time, and we're doing it with each other. So I feel like this is it's a good class. We have a good class. It's very fun. So thank you for sharing that. All right. So our next question, you're now working at WJZ, which is a big thing. What do you do here, and how did podcasting Good School help prepare you for this role?
What do I do here is a very complicated question, right? When I started working here, my job duties were to be a technical director, which is a person who executes the orders of a director, right? So a director says, take camera 3. It's the technical director's job to take that camera. Because at this station, our responsibilities have sort of evolved because of technology these days. I'll give you an example. 10 years ago in a control room, there would be 7 people. Now there are just 2 people. There's a producer and there's a director, right? So the producer is the one who writes the shows, who contacts all the people that need to be interviewed, who talk to the reporters in the field, and a director follows the direction of a producer. So a producer says, hey, I want to go out here and do this. A director makes sure that happens. So anyway, my duties here now are a full-time editor along with occasionally floor directing. So what is a floor director? Here, a floor director is a camera person, it's an audio person, and it's also the person that's in charge of the flow in the studio, right? So if we have guests coming to the studio, we're the ones that get the microphones ready. We're the one that tells the talent where they need to be. We make sure that the camera has your framing, focus, and lighting during a newscast. So it's essentially one person doing 3 people's jobs, if that makes any sense. So to floor direct here anyway.
That's super interesting. So basically you do everything is what I'm getting.
It's a lot.
Back to the editing portion, is it more so, just going over all of what you guys recorded? And how often do you record, like a day, or how many times?
So we have access to pretty much every video that's ever taken in the entire world, right? A producer has a story that they want to talk about, and there are certain moments in the video that they want to use for a particular story during the news. Editors are the one that go in and they take out those clips that they want to use for our news programs. We also use feed from the streets, right? So we have a cameraman that's at the Ravens game, and he's talking to people in the field. They'll send it back, and we're the ones that edit that. When we put together packages, if there's a reporter that's out, down the street talking about a protest, then they'll send that footage back, and we'll put together a package, and we'll put that on air.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So you basically get to decide what people see, in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of power.
Yes.
Okay, so I have one final question for you. Looking back, what part of the podcast process challenged you the most, and how did you push through it?
Yeah, I think one of the most challenging parts was all of the research that was involved. I like to do fun things, and I don't consider a lot of reading to be fun. Now, I am somebody, I don't mind reading, and I if I want to get ideas for a play or a movie or whatever, you have to read. But that's not like fun for me, right? Also, talking to strangers is not something that I look to do because I am, like I said, a completely insulated person, right? That was a challenging part. And also, what was really challenging is that we started with almost 14 producers, and we ended up with like 4 at the end of the day. So those are some challenging parts of creating that podcast.
Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing that. I completely understand. I actually love to read. I don't like to read when it's boring. So I understand what you mean. Keith, thank you so much again for joining us and sharing your story. For more student articles, go to blog.ccbcmd.edu/connection. While you're there, make sure to scroll down at the bottom and subscribe so you don't miss out on any news articles. This podcast is produced, hosted, and edited by New Media Collective and podcast journalism students. My name is Corinne Boyd, and our theme music is Man Out of Town by Forget the Whale. And before we wrap things up, I want to give a special shout out to my classmates in my podcast production and journalism class. Thank you for all the support and inspiration throughout this journey.